Hey guys, this is Matt Wilson from my fourth rock video YouTube series show. And today's topic is The Doors. Mr. Mojo Rising on my shirt there. The Doors are a band, much like my last Jimi Hendrix video, where you might think, well, they don't have a very big discography. So what's he going to talk about for a half hour or whatever? But get past the Doors albums, and I'm going to stop with 1971. The two Morrison-less records, well, one, I don't even own them, and two, they don't interest me. But what I'm going to talk about is all the wealth of live releases which have come out in the past, 20 or so years. I couldn't find my Doors box set that came out in 1997 with some, at the time, unreleased stuff on there. Probably still some of that stuff you can't get anywhere else. But I found all the regular size CDs. So let's start. I'm going to begin with the 1999 Cube box, is what they call it. This will do for me. This is all the albums, well, all the studio albums, right? Yeah. There's not absolutely live. And the sound is nice. It's a little bright, but you also have, well, let me pull up the Doors here. The first album, the first CD of the first album has the unedited Break On Through and the unedited The End. So this is not, those two songs are not the same versions that appeared in 1967, but the sound quality is fine. This is, I have the first album several times. This is the DCC Steve Hoffman mastered one. This will do you if you just want a really good sounding CD. I use the word classic, whenever we talk about these bands, these artists. And when I say that, I mean that's a 5-star album. That is a classic record of that era, for that, is emblematic of that band. This fits the bill. This is one of the great debut albums of the 60s, certainly one of the great debut albums of 1967, along with Are You Experienced, which we covered in the last video. It's a virtually perfect album. Nobody really sounded like this at the time. That organ-drenched, carnival-esque nighttime sound that the Doors had, Morrison's Sinatra-like crooning, Densmore's kind of jazzy syncopations, and then Robbie's tasteful little guitar leads. If you were only going to get one Doors record and it wasn't going to be a compilation, I think most Doors fans would tell you this is it. This one came out for the I think it was the 50th anniversary. This has the mono mix, which I pined for years on CD. Turns out the mono mix is not as good as the stereo mix, but this is still worth owning. If you want to hear what that album sounded like, because when it came out, of course, there was a dedicated mono mix and a true stereo mix. So this is the way to own it, folks. All right. Second one, a little dusty. Strange Days. Also came out in 1967, October of 1967. It sounds almost the same as the first album. These two albums, though they weren't, sound like they could have been recorded at the same sessions. This again is the DCC Hoffman disc. Wonderful record. In place of The End, you have When the Music's Over. There's no song that went to number one on here the way that Light My Fire did, but instead you get Love Me Two Times and People Are Strange, both hits. This is if you love the first album, I don't see why you wouldn't love this one too. And some people prefer this to the debut. Like the first album, it comes with a mono mix if you want to get that one as well. I say mono and stereo. Again, I don't like the mono mix as much as the stereo, but I do like the mono mix of this album more than the mono mix of the first album. So, The Doors, another band like the Jimi Hendrix Experience with two classic albums in 1967. The Beatles would fit that category. Jefferson Airplane, which I'm gonna get to them soon in a video. Monkees had 3 albums in 67. Carby Joe and the Fish had 2. So there's a lot of bands that were really firing on all cylinders that year. That year of the Summer of Love. 1968. Waiting for the Sun. This again is the DCC Hoffman disc. This is where, for some people, the band began to show, the chinks in the armor. But I mean, come on. If the first 2 albums are 5-star albums, and I think that they are, classic, this is just a smidgen beneath that. If we're going to use the 5-star rating system, this would be a 4.5, 4.75. It's that good. They start to vary the sound here. They start to experiment with other instruments, other textures, other vibes. Robbie's playing the flamenco guitar on A Spanish Caravan. My Wild Love is a chant. It's got Hello, I Love You, which went to number 1, just like Light My Fire. And this album went to number 1, which the debut album didn't even get to number 1. So, the Doors were still a major band, a major success in 68. And I don't see too much of a difference in quality between this and the first 2. Okay, there is no... There is no gold disc that I own of the Soft Parade, so I'm going to pull this out of the cube box. There is a Soft Parade. This is 1969. Regarded by many as the worst Doors album, but I gotta say, if this is the worst Doors LP, then they don't have a bad album. Not with Jim Morrison, anyway. A lot of the criticism, if you read what people think about the record, both critics and just fans online, is the use of the horns, the strings. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, there's some what you might call filler on here. I mean, to these ears, Easy Ride is not that great. Do It is not that great. But so what? Those are 2 songs that were on side 1 of the original vinyl LP. Still got Touch Me. I think that the title track is another really cool, long song. Tell All the People. I mean, Shaman's Blues sounds like it could be on one of the first 2 records. I don't have a problem with this album. If I'm going to continue the rating system, it's going to make a 4-star album to me. Okay, so not a classic and not even a great record, but I like it. Forgot to bring it out, but I did get the big 50th anniversary box of this, which is it's big. It's like an LP size box. It's not the size of the Doors and Strange Days that I just showed you earlier. And it's got a lot of stuff on there. It has the songs without the strings, without the horns, sans horns. It's got Rock is Dead, which is a long, kind of rambling, kind of drunken Morrison spiel where he, it's not even really, well, I guess it's a song, but I had read about it, but I never heard it until that came out. So of the 50th anniversary collections, I do recommend that one. And I recommend The Doors and Strange Days because they have the mono mixes. All right, so Strange Days, their last album of the 60s. Going to put that away. Morrison Hotel, this is another Steve Hoffman disc. Morrison Hotel came out in 1970. It is, well, it's a return to form in the eyes of many, in the ears of many. They're not doing so much experimentation anymore. It's got a bluesier sound with some of the nighttime carnivalesque organ sound of the first 2 to 3 albums, but not a whole lot. Morrison's voice is starting to deepen, but he still can croon. There's really nothing on here that I don't like. This is a strong set, one of their best albums. But again, I mean, they're all really good, except possibly the Soft Parade. I would say this is every bit as good as Waiting for the Sun. So another 4.5 to 4.75 record. You can tell I'm a huge Doors guy. So I know that there's a lot of controversy about the Doors. I'll discuss that in a second, but let's just get through the Morrison records first. In 1970 as well, they did a live album called Absolutely Live. I don't own that on CD because, to my knowledge, the original LP cover has never been reproduced on any of those CDs. You can get Absolutely Live on CD, but it has a different cover. Instead, I have this, which I like. What's this called? The Doors in Concert. It has the entirety of Absolutely Live, plus the entirety. See, folks, even though I've got my glasses on, I can barely read this. Well, the entirety of another live Doors LP, which came out in 1983. Was it called Alive, She Cried? I think. So it's got those 2 albums. And then I think, again, if I could read this, I could tell you, I think possibly something from the 1968 Hollywood Bowl show. By the way, that concert, the Hollywood Bowl show in 68, they took a picture of Jim from that show, and that they put that on the Absolutely Live album cover. There's a blue photograph of the entire band from the back. It's like backstage, and they're looking at the band. Then there's the audience. There's that if you open up the gatefold on the outside. But then on the cover, it's a superimposed shot of Jim from the Hollywood Bowl show. It's pretty good, with my favorite version of Celebration of the Lizard, which is the one that's on Absolutely Live. And lastly, for Jim, was LA Woman. This is yet another Steve Hoffman DCC disc. Love LA Woman. They took that kind of a more bluesier format that they had hit upon so well, so winningly on Morrison Hotel, but they took it to another extreme here. I'm going to say this is a better album than Morrison Hotel, but I'll tell you the differences. Morrison Hotel, I may actually feel to be the more consistent album because there's nothing on there that I think is less than great. LA Woman might have a track or two, which I mean, I'm not crazy about Been Down So Long. That's not bad. I don't skip it, but it's just Jimbo doing the blues again. But the highs on here, Love Her Madly, LA Woman, Riders on the Storm, the really famous songs. To me, those are better than the highs on Morrison Hotel. So, to recap, Morrison Hotel, these are to my ears only, might be more consistent, but the highs are better on here. They're both great albums. I mean, Jim was on fire. Again, by this point, that youthful croon that he had, it's all but gone. He could probably still sing that way if he wanted to. Hyacinth House, maybe. But, you know, this is the way that his voice was becoming before he passed. So, anyways, he goes to Paris with Pam. He dies, you know, whether it's an OD from heroin, the way that many people are saying now, or whatever. There never was an autopsy, so we will never know. Pam is no longer here. 2 albums without Jim, which are not that good. And then the deluge of material, but mostly in the 70s, it was greatest hits albums. Here's a little something that I have that I like. This is the Doors, the singles. You get, it also has the 1973, is it Best of the Doors? Yeah, Best of the Doors. And that is on a Blu-ray, and it's in surround sound. It's either in quad or 5.0. I think it's in quad, but it sounds good. So this gives you all the single mixes. Well, you can't see because there's little stickers here. It gives you all the single mixes, and you know, they're in mono when the singles were in mono. And you get that 1973 Best of the Doors in quad. This is a cool purchase, folks, if you want to hear the 45 mixes of those songs. And yeah, believe it or not, there were people then who did not take the Doors seriously and thought of them as a singles band. So for those folks, that's what you want. Okay, much with the Jimmy, I'm looking at this and wondering where I should start. Well, here's a stack, I might as well. In the late 90s or early 2000s, probably the early 2000s, there was a label called Bright Midnight, and they were going to be releasing, or then they did, a bunch of the live Doors shows that that they recorded, you know, for the Absolutely Live album. This is a little sampler that they put out before, you know, these CDs were released. I like it. It's got, what is it, 12? Nope, 13 cuts from various shows. I think that they end up releasing all the shows that these cuts are excerpted from. But I like it. Of course, when I bought it, though, and I played it, I just was waiting for all those shows to be released. So, and I think I got them all. So let's start getting to that. Okay. This is a double disc of the Aquarius Theater, which was a theater here in LA. I'm gonna say this is 69. Again, I got my glasses on, but I can't read the small font. It's good. It's well recorded. Jim seems to be in, you know, pretty good form. This is the companion piece. It is the second show from the Aquarius, right? I don't know what these, you know, are selling for currently online. I don't know if these are still in print or not, but you know, if you're a Doors fan, you probably already have them. And then to really show how they were promoting this, here's the Backstage and Dangerous disc, or is it 2 discs? Yeah, it is 2 discs. So all of these sets are 2 discs from that same series of shows. So a lot of, this has got to be the most recorded material by the Doors for any little engagement that they did. And I like it all. I mean, I can't even tell you which of the 3 I would prefer if you were just going to buy one, because I kind of see them all like as a set, you know. Here's another one that's kind of in the same, you know, thick jewel case. They used to call these Fat Boy format. This is live in Detroit. Also 2 discs, right? So the Detroit show that they recorded for the Absolutely Live album, more of the same, folks. You know, Jim well, the Doors liked to do, you know, kind of the same songs over and over, as so many bands did. So if you buy a lot of these live sets, you know, you may think, like, well, how come they didn't do more songs from my favorite Doors album or whatever? Because they didn't really feel like playing them. You know, I mean, there are certain songs they had to play. You're gonna hear "Light My Fire" on all these things, but they all. I mean, none of these are bad, which is the same thing that I said about the Hendrix live shows. I like it all. All right, I'm just gonna randomly grab another stack here. Okay, this one came out recently. This is the Doors in 1968, Stockholm, Sweden. 2 discs, you know, a lot. I'm holding it tight because so the Ziploc baggie doesn't obscure the artwork. 2 discs. I just got this within the last year or so. It's good. Love Street. Didn't hear that one too many times. Unknown Soul, Mac the Knife, you know, Wild Child. Yeah, I like that one. Here's the Doors at the Matrix. The 3-disc set that also recently came out, and these are from 1967, so these are old. The Matrix, of course, is it's a little club in San Francisco that Marty Balin of the Airplane owned, and you know, various recordings were made there. But the Airplane, of course, played there. So this is the Doors in March of '67. So the first album is out, but they're not really, like, you know, superstars yet. I like this one. Try that if you're not gonna, you know, if you're thinking about dipping your toes in. Live in Vancouver, 1970. 2 discs. All right. Also like this one. Okay. What we got here? Roadhouse Blues. You know, to this day though, my favorite version of Roadhouse Blues is the live one that's on An American Prayer. In fact, I may like that one every bit as much as I like the one that's on Morrison Hotel. Yeah, Money, they like to do that one a lot. Rock Me, When the Music's Over. So, there you go. Okay, this one stands out. This is a Boston show, 3 discs. You get 1 disc of the first show, 2 discs of the second show. He's drunk here. Oops, gotta get the glare off. He's drunk. So if you want to hear, you know, Jimbo, the Lizard King, ranting and raving, this is it. He's still trying to put on a professional show, you know. But a lot of some of these shows, you can tell he's just sitting there singing, crooning into the mic, saying the occasional joke. If you're thinking of the Doors live the way that say Oliver Stone portrayed them in that movie from the early 90s, just going crazy, you know, on the Bacchanalian reverie. Not too many of these shows are like that. You know, that was probably earlier in their career, and I don't know how many shows there were like that after 1969, after he got, you know, they were trying to arrest him, or he was arrested, and then, you know, he had his court trial and stuff. I think that they kind of calmed down a bit after then, and that's when they were recording all those shows for Absolutely Live, which came out the following year. So, but the Boston show is probably as, you know, close to that as you're going to get. Here's Live in Bakersfield, 1970, 2 discs. You know, by this point, it's kind of getting hard to differentiate these shows. You know, they're all pretty good. They all basically feature the same songs, with probably each show having maybe a song or something that, you know, is a little more rare. But, you know, I'm a completist, so I pretty much bought them all. You can tell me in the comments if I'm missing anything. Live in Philadelphia, this is one of the shows that they definitely used for Absolutely Live. This is a single disc. Soft Parade Vamp. I would have liked it if one of these would have contained a full-length version of the Soft Parade. Universal Mind, of course, Someday Soon. Universal Mind was one of the cool songs on Absolutely Live that had not appeared on a record before. So that was Pittsburgh. Okay, this is Live in Philadelphia, 1972 discs. Look at the back here, Maggie McGill. That one wasn't played that much. Been Down So Long, Rock Me Baby. Been Down So Long, of course, wouldn't be out until the following year on the LA Woman album. Ship of Universal Mind. Ship of Fools. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Here's another standout. You know, when I come across one of these, which I think is really good, I'll bring it to your attention. This is live at the Felt Forum, yeah, in New York. My gosh, 6 discs? Wow, I can't recall how many shows it is, but it's also well recorded. So this is the equivalent of owning all 3 of those Aquarius sets, because they're all double discs. So you get 6 discs from LA, you get 6 discs from New York, 69 in LA, 70 here. This is one of the better ones. Again, can't really read that with my glasses, so I can't tell you the highlights, but pick it up. I mean, what I would recommend for these things, guys, go online, look at Amazon, look at Discogs, look at eBay, but look at, or any other place that has third-party sellers that you can think of online, and always look at the condition and go for the best price. Don't just patronize one website and always buy things from them, because when I want to buy something which I know is out of print, and you're gonna be reaching in your pocket and paying for it, get the cheapest one, but don't get them in totally lousy condition either, because then you won't be able to sell them later on. All right, and I think that is virtually it. They had this little box called Boot Your Butt, which I bought, and it was recorded terribly, and I returned it. I mean, it was the worst sounding Doors recordings, but the performances were pretty good. Anyway, that's what I made as Eric's copy. I burned it onto CDR, which is what I have here, and then returned it. And then that's one of the ones that's really expensive now, or at least last time that I looked online. So should have kept it, live and learn. Here in LA, radio DJ Jim Ladd did a show, I think, in the late 70s, a radio show where he examined the career of the Doors. And, if you've ever heard him on the radio, this is exactly what he sounds like. And I don't know how many discs are in here, but an audio documentary. It went on for a while. And this was a time when Morrison had kind of been forgotten about. It was probably right before the Doors resurgence of 79 and 80, when everyone started talking about the band again. But I like it. I don't pull it out and play it all that much. But again, it's the completest in me. And this has got to be it, right? These are the lost interview tapes, or it's just Jim being interviewed. You can go onto YouTube and you can find a lot of Morrison's interviews. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but I mean, if you want to hear what his speaking voice sounds like, he wasn't the crazy guy all the time that he's been portrayed to be. He could be an erudite gentleman and quite loquacious and like a raconteur. But that's not the the image that people can make money off of promoting. So when you do see a movie about the Doors or a book, you know, like No One Here Gets Out Alive, they're going to promote the more salacious aspects of him. But this, you know, if you just want to hear what he sounds like. And, well, this is a Doors poster behind me, which has been in my videos so far, but I don't know if you can even see it because of the glare. That's the Doors. That's the Sparrow, which is the Canadian band that became Steppenwolf, and that's at the Avalon Ballroom in '67. And because I do collect psychedelic rock posters, I brought this one too from my bar area. This is that's the Door. This is a 1969 show. Randy Tootin, the artist, did this. It's Lonnie Mack, you know, the Wham guitar player. Elvin Bishop, who was in, the Butterfield band. And that's the Cow Palace in San Francisco. So you can see I'm a big Doors fanatic. So, what are my final thoughts on the Doors? I'll go back to what I was alluding to earlier. There's a lot of negative thoughts about Jim Morrison, which you'll read from a lot of people and rock critics. I think Dave Marsh was the first person I read who was really down on the Doors. This was in his second Rolling Stone illustrated or album guide or whatever, which was ironic because the first one was kind of praiseworthy of the Doors. But ever since then, I've been noticing there's a tendency amongst a lot of rock critics to think of Morrison as a clown and whatever. And since people my age, you know, we've all grown up reading all this stuff. It's really infiltrated people's minds now to say that, you know, he was just a joke and whatnot. He was a commanding talent. He liked to drink, and he liked to get on stage, and sometimes he'd make a fool of himself, but it was all part of the risk-taking that he was into. If you just listen to the albums, just those 6 studio Doors albums, and Absolutely Live, right? They're real good. They're virtually fat-free, filler-free. Okay, you know, there's maybe some cuts on Soft Parade, which are less than outstanding, but for a band that is not universally held in high esteem, when I think that they should be, they're remarkably consistent. All right, so I don't know. I will leave you with that. The Oliver Stone film came out in 1991. It was hated at the time by a lot of people. I don't mind it because the criticisms that were leveled at it, I could put those same criticisms on virtually any rock biopic. The fact that it wasn't all true. There's no documentation for a lot of that stuff. Well, that's true for the Buddy Holly story. That's true for La Bamba. That's true for Bohemian Rhapsody. It's true for Rocket Man. I mean, you can't make a movie about these people, these musicians, and be totally accurate. I mean, I haven't seen one yet, you know, so I don't know why the Doors is any worse than any other one. There was one scene that did bother me though, where Oliver Stone has Jim throw Pam, Val Kilmer throw Meg Ryan in a closet and light it on fire. Where did he? And if you listen to the commentary track that he provides, Oliver Stone, he says someone told him that story. Okay, so he's backing up his decision to put that in the film. But to that, I would counter, okay, so someone told you that, so you want to put that in the movie just to make Jim look bad? But all in all, I don't have a lot of criticisms of that movie that I wouldn't, use for any other rock picture. But anyways, love the music. Tell me what you think in the comments. Until next time. Bye-bye.